unexpected things can happen. I have 2 weddings happening this year. Both of them were unexpected, and that is okay. Hello and welcome back to the podcast Traffic Talks. My name is Pyro, aka Robin, and I hope you're doing well today. I am going to try and speak as calmly, as slowly, and as chill as I possibly can because I have a lot to get through and not much time. So we'll see. I'd like to start off this week's episode by recapping my birthday plans. So it's been fun. Saturday was my official birthday. I went to a Japanese restaurant where I had sushi and noodles. I then got ice cream and then bubble tea and then came home. But it was only with my parents that I went out on Saturday with on my actual birthday. The next day, Sunday, I went out with my siblings and my brother's girlfriend. We went to watch the new Captain America movie that dropped. I think it's A Brave New World or something. That one was so incredible. Really good. And went out for supper afterwards and then got more bubble tea on the way home. And Tuesday this week, my mom took me for a solo breakfast because we usually go out randomly, but with my lack of employment, which hopefully is a thing of the past soon, knock on wood, I went out with her for breakfast. And she treated me to Rocco Mama's, which was amazing. I've always been wanting to go for their breakfast, but every time I miss it. So it was nice to actually get out and just chill, have breakfast, talk. It was really nice. So I've been enjoying my days. And then while we were out on Tuesday, we bought a cake. So I've been spoiled. And it's been crazy. So no plans have been like extravagant, crazy things. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. There's also a concert coming up this weekend I'm debating going to because the price skyrocketed when I actually checked it. And I was like, yeah, maybe way too out of budget. So we'll see. But yeah, speaking of, this week is all about finances, considering it's the end of the financial year this month. However, as a country, we are quite upset considering the budget speech that was supposed to happen on the 19th of February was delayed into March somewhere. There's also been this no spend year trend challenge thing that's been going on, and I kind of had my own no spend year. So I thought all of that flowed beautifully into a budget centered episode, which I have no idea what I'm going to call it, but that's what I'm speaking about today. So yeah, let's get this ball rolling. I did make quite a few notes, so I'm so sorry if this episode is way longer than expected, but I generally have a lot to say, especially around financial topics, which you would know. I'm going to have to go hunt the links down for all the episodes. But yeah, I have quite a few. Maybe I must just make a playlist. Speaking of, shameless plug, I have been working very hard to try and upload the old podcast episodes to YouTube. And they have been a mission because the audio quality was terrible. There was literally no editing. And it is hard. So yeah, if you'd like to, please go and support. Even if you just have no volume going and just play the episode through once. I genuinely appreciate it. If you aren't subscribed, go do so. And leave a comment on this episode if you would like to add your own 2 cents about my opinions on the financials. So let's get straight into it. Considering the budget speech, first and foremost, it's been postponed to March. But the one thing everyone is up in arms about is a possible 2% hike in the VAT that they are wanting to implement. So VAT is value added tax. This is on non-essential items or whatever they deem non-essential items. And in these financial times we are in, I don't understand how they are even threatening to implement this because we are in very difficult and unsure economic times because the pandemic hit us. Not many people are recovered from that, either due to other health things or the pandemic itself and losing breadwinners, if not being gravely knocked down from that time. Just financially, it's been hard. Businesses closed, people suffered. It was crazy. We just came out of Christmas end of last year. The year started and it was back to school. We are in the month of love and it's Valentine's. We're about to head into March and people are only now going to start having a normal financial month. And now they want to throw us a curveball with this VAT increase. Like, that is hectic, which is why I think it's a great time to check your finances, set a new budget, and just make sure you're getting all your financials in check, because being able to cut costs where you can is going to be the best thing, especially with load shedding that has been happening on and off. It's not fun. So making sure you can afford everything is going to be vital going forward, especially because everything is expensive and it's not easy growing your own stuff. I've tried. My tomatoes grew, but they were eaten by the bugs, so I'm sad. But anyway, moving on. Getting your financials and budgets and just being aware of your finances in general is great. And with regards to the no spend year challenge that has been going around, I think people are not misinformed, but unprepared for it. Because having a no spend year is very different compared to living month to month or even week to week. I myself left my job last year and I have yet, emphasis on the yet, fingers crossed, knock on wood, I get something soon. But I have yet to find something else, and it has almost been a year. So, having learned a few things, it's been eye-opening, because working with what I have teaches you what is truly a necessity and what it truly takes to have a no-spend year. So, I'm going to give you some of the lessons I learned, whether intentional or not. But here we go. So, if you plan on doing this challenge or just trying a no-spend year or revising your budget even, the first thing I think you need to do is pick a path, okay? By that I mean, are you someone who is currently earning money week to week, month to month, and choosing to not spend it? Or like me, you had some savings and that's what you are going to now live off of? Because that is going to be the end all and be all of this challenge or even just this thing that you are trying to do. If you have a lump sum, you have to figure out exactly how many months it's going to last you, or how you are planning to split it up, or what can you do with the money you have. Do you have to maybe move in with someone? Do you have to look for a roommate? Do you have to figure out the way? All those things come into play because it is about survival at that point. You need to make sure you come out at every month on or under budget, because one small mistake in that case could cost you everything. And you don't want that. Not when the stakes are that high. So being aware of the money you've got or what you're working with is definitely the first thing you need to do. The next thing, plan your budget method. I have spoken about finance related topics and different budgeting methods in previous budget or finance related episodes. I will link them below. But those episodes have budgeting methods, or you can just Google some. They are very, very easy to find. But choosing a budgeting method is going to make it easier to just duplicate that one template or whatever over the next year. And that is what you want. If you are someone who wants to improve your budgeting skills, maybe try out different budgeting methods over a few months. So pick one method, stick to it for a few months, see how it works, try something else. However, I would like to caution you that if you are someone who's got the lump sum and has to make it work, definitely stick to one method across the entire year, just because you don't have the leeway to make adjustments month to month compared to someone who is earning a salary, it is consistent, and they can be like, you know what, I didn't think of adding this to the budget, I can make it more, shift things around, this is how it's going to go. That's just how it's going to work. So make sure you have a budget that is going to work for you and suit your lifestyle. If it is a lump sum amount that you are working with, there is a zero budget where basically every single cent for that month is accounted for, whereas you do get budgets such as the 50-30-20, which is 50% on needs, 30% on wants, and 20% on investment, savings, and retirement. So that is more of just like rough outlines. So play around with it, see what would be better for you, but definitely take your situation into consideration. Definitely. The next thing you need to do is choose a payment method. Yes, it is a no spend year, but you still need to buy things, okay? And by this, I mean pick a method of payment based on the budget you have and the limit you set for yourself. Because if you are someone who takes your money and puts it into cash envelopes and is like, this is how much I've budgeted for groceries, this is how much I've budgeted for this, that is something you can use, and then the leftover cash in the envelopes can roll over to the next month. Or if you are someone who has maybe a higher level rewards perks at your bank, swiping with your card earns you more points, and then you'd maybe use your card to pay for things, but then make sure to set your banking app to have those budget reminders where you actually log your spending through your app, and you are able to be like, I spent this much on groceries, this much on whatever, and it will show you your budget for the month, how you've been spending, and give you reminders when you are getting close to using all the money allocated for that particular category. So that will definitely come into play, especially if you are someone who gets cash back from your bank. Netbank people, you get greenbacks if you are a greenbacks reward member. So that is literally cash back in your pocket. Make sure you are earning those points. That is definitely something that can help you, especially if you aren't earning money or cash is a bit of an issue at the moment. Plus, digitally banking means you can actually look at pre-made spreadsheets, documents, pie charts through your banking online or your app, and that will help you also view how you spend your money better. The next thing you're going to need to understand is needs versus wants. Most no-spend challenges, whether it's for a period of a few months or an entire year, are usually used to make large dents in debt repayments or quickly save up a large amount of money for a specific reason. When it comes to this challenge, many people approach it based on their end goal. Like I said, some people tend to just hop on a trend of no spending and basically still spend on what they want. So it's not really a challenge, and they're just like, I didn't really do the challenge, but they wanted to speak about it. That is not good. Other people are actually more intentional about it and give themselves leeway for things like nice snacks or takeaways once a week or date nights once a month. Those are limited, those are budgeted, but they are doing it with the intention of maybe, if it's a couple, they're saving up for a wedding, so they've reduced a lot of their spending to save up a lump sum for their wedding. Things like that. Others are completely aggressive and just cut anything and everything in order to save up, get rid of debt, do whatever they need to do to reach their goal. It just depends on that particular goal. So this is where needs and wants come into play, because some people have enough money coming in, but they want to pay off debts, want to make a bigger dent in that, and therefore need to cut back on their budget just a little bit so that they can pay just a little bit more to their debt. Other people who are living off their money might need to cut expenses just to make sure they survive until they get a job. And once again, that is to each their own. but it is something to be aware of when you are doing this. Some people's needs and wants are very different, and like I said, there are many factors that play into making a budget, choosing how to spend, all those kinds of things. Which brings me to the next point of unexpected things can happen. I have 2 weddings happening this year. Both of them were unexpected, and that is okay. One, unfortunately, is a destination wedding, and one is a local wedding, which is also crazy because they might be very close to each other. So that also poses a problem. In any case, I still need an outfit or at least money to either fix a dress, buy a second dress, buy some fabric and make a dress. Anything can result in me getting the dress, but in the same way, anything can happen that makes me need a dress. So always have money on hand for an emergency, or have money you can access should the need arise. Okay? The next thing I've learned is overplan the consistent. Okay? Things that are consistent expenses in your life need to be written down, highlighted, underlined, and then circled. These are things like your water, your lights, your gas, if you have gas appliances. Yes, those things can fluctuate every month, but they are still expenses you have every single month. It's like petrol. It is something that just happens every single month. If you have cash envelopes or money envelopes, whatever you want to call them, you can have a fixed amount that is maybe slightly higher than what you pay every single month. So maybe if you spend 400 on it every single month, you can put 500 in the envelope. What doesn't get used just rolls over, and that's okay. Another thing I would say to take into consideration with consistent expenses is fluctuations in that expense seasonally. So in winter, the lights go down earlier because the sun sets earlier, therefore you spend more on electricity. So you might need to up the budget in winter months. That is something to just consider, especially if you're planning out a year in advance, because not everyone thinks of going into it Jan to December. Some people are firstly saving all the money and then having a no-spend year. Other people are living in a no-spend year while not spending. Do you understand what I'm saying? They are not spending for this year and they started in January. And it's like, but did you think about these kinds of things? These are expenses that are fluctuating throughout the year. Did you think about that? Did you make note of that? Did you set a reminder to readjust it? Because if you are someone who's living off a lump sum and you forgot to adjust for those things, you're going to have an issue. You need to think about them. If you are someone who's at least got money, you can be like, crap, okay, cool. Back to the drawing board on the budget. You learned for next time, but it's already happened. And this is where having that money in the bank for these things will definitely come in handy. Also, depending on your budget, you're going to have to adjust that. So it is these kinds of things that a lot of people forget. And another thing people forget is to look at the calendars and budget for things like birthdays, special occasions, and main events happening throughout the year like Easter and Christmas, as well as the small things like your license renewal, your annual planner you buy. Just once-off things that you tend to forget but live in the moment in. So those are also things to consider. I do, because I have a literal budget for annual expenses. So when my TV license comes around, there's money for that. Every 5 years I have to renew something that I have to pay for. Every 10 years I have to do my car license. No, 5 years is car license. 10 years? Passport, I think. Things like that, They are once-off expenses, but they happen every few years or so. Those are things you need to get done, especially medical things. Anything could crop up, and those are either going to be a big dent in your pocket, or if you're monitoring them, they're going to be either annual, biannual, quarterly expenses, which is so expensive. Anyway, the last thing on my list is a tip that I would highly recommend you try out so you can get it right, because it's one of the best things that can work for you. and that is to ask for gift vouchers, cash, or things you really, really want within reason to family members and friends when it's either your birthday or Christmas. I know this sounds crazy, but in my family it's kind of the norm where we explicitly ask for what we want as gifts for different events that happen throughout the year. So for my birthday, I actually asked for a gift voucher to one of 2 shops and I got it. So it is something that's going to be amazing for me to use down the line. It's not cash, but it is a place I love to shop at. So that is something that is an incredible thing, especially if you are living on a budget and you are restricted in what you want to buy, what you can buy, what you need to buy, even if it's maybe a drugstore gift card where you can just buy your essentials for the month. That is something that will definitely help you out. So that is something you could do. If you also want to do something nice but it's a bit pricey and you can't afford it, maybe you can ask your family to split the bill or ask your friends and family to kind of cover your portion. That's also an option. And then speaking of family and friends, if you guys are going out or something, you can maybe opt to eat in and then do a budget friendly potluck, or if you're hanging out with your friends, you can maybe pool money together and then buy ingredients and then cook together. So it's like a fun activity, healthy meals plus budget friendly. So doing those kinds of things are all good options. But I'm gonna wrap this episode up here because it's getting way too long. But in speaking about this topic this week, I have been actually getting excited because yes, I don't have a job yet. I've been interviewing, I've been applying, I've been doing all sorts of things, and I've already been imagining my first salary and how I'm going to spend it. And it's been making me more proactive in terms of budgeting, how I want to spend my money, how I want to financially plan for my future. Because the best thing you can do for yourself is invest, whether it's financially by investing your money in order to grow, because time is the best thing for investing, or invest in terms of your health and your well-being, because taking stock of what you've got, where you want to go, what's best for you is always going to help you. And life is going to change and you are going to adapt. It's a fact. However, having knowledge of yourself and what has worked in the past for you is going to make adapting easier as you go along. So that's my nuggets of wisdom this week. This week's song of the week is Money's Too Tight to Mention by Simply Red. The song is basically about a guy who needs money and he's having a tough time, and he asks everyone around him and they're also having a tough time. So it's currently what we are experiencing in today's times, whether it's being disguised as under consumption core or whatever trend word is being used, but that is basically what's happening. Everyone's struggling and they putting this pretty bow on it when it's like, girl, are you okay? And that's it. It's not cute, it's not fun, it's not funny, it's genuinely sad and worrying that we've made it something to consume on the internet. It is something we should all be looking into, because knowledge is definitely power, and being able to manage your money in the best way for you can only help you in the long run. And especially if you can practice delayed gratification of saving your money now, investing your money now, putting it away for later, and being able to in the future use that money, gonna be so much better, gonna be so good. It can only do you well. That said, I've gone on for way too long. I'm so sorry to both you and me, because you're gonna have to listen to all this, but I'm gonna have to edit all this. So I'm gonna stop here. I am going to ask you to keep being a better being and a better budgeting being, and I'll see you in the next one. Love you. Bye.